Donald Trump hasn't mentioned his idea for a national registry of Muslims recently, but here's what he said about it last year when he was running for the Republican presidential nomination.
We have a database system that tracks the Muslims here in this country.
There should be a lot of systems beyond database. I mean, we should have a lot of systems. And today you can do it. But right now we have to have a border, we have to have strength, we have to have a wall, and we cannot let what's happening to this country happen.
But that's something your White House would like to implement.
Oh, I would certainly implement that. Absolutely.
Now, a Trump supporter and a co-chair of a super PAC that supported Donald Trump says that Japanese-American internment in this country during World War II is a legal precedent for the government maintaining a Muslim registry.
We've done it with Iran back a while ago. We did it during World War II with Japanese, which, you know, call it what you will, maybe wrong.
You're not proposing we go back to the days of internment camps, I hope.
No. I'm not proposing that at all, Megan. But what I am saying is that we need to protect America.
I mean, that's the kind of stuff that gets people scared, Carl.
Right. But I'm just saying there is precedent for it, and I'm not saying I agree with it, but in this case, I absolutely believe that a regional base...
You can't be citing Japanese internment camps as precedent for anything the president-elect is going to do.
Look, the president needs to protect America first, and if that means having people that are not protected under our Constitution have some sort of registry so we can understand, until we can identify the true threat and where it's coming from, I support it.
Joining us now, George Takei. He's an actor, director, and human rights activist. He and his family were held in Japanese-American internment camps. George, thank you very much for joining us tonight. We wanted to hear your reaction to this as soon as this happened.
It was shocking, but it was not unexpected from a Trump surrogate. Mr. Higbee used the imprisonment of innocent Japanese Americans as a precedent. Yes, it happened, but it is not a precedent. It is the most disgraceful chapter of American history. This is a country that believes in order, law. It's a nation of law. We believe in due process, and all that disappeared. As a matter of fact, in 1988, President Ronald Reagan had to apologize for the imprisonment of innocent Japanese Americans during the Second World War. We were totally innocent, and yet we were imprisoned because of race bigotry, war hysteria, and the failure of political leadership. That is what happened, that made this happen. And here again, they're talking about the political leadership that's about to be is talking about the very same thing and using us as a precedent. It was a disgrace and a shameful chapter of American history.
Let's listen to some more of Donald Trump's specifics about how he would register Muslims in this country.
For Muslims specifically, how do you actually get them registered into a database?
It would be just good management. What you have to do is good management procedures, and we can do that. It's nice.
And do you go to mosques and sign these people up into the system?
Different places. You sign them up at different, but it's all about management. Our country has no management.
George, obviously he has no idea what he's talking about. You signed them up at different places. He wasn't asked how he would be able to tell what someone's religion is.
Yes, he's going to go by a faith of a people and register them. Registration of any group of people, and certainly registration of Muslims, is a prelude to internment. This is something that we cannot have happen again. It is dangerous, and it is a moral bankruptcy. We've got to stand up and resist this. And I urge all good Americans to write to your congressional representatives and the president-elect and tell them that this is not what we stand for as a nation. We go by the rule of law, and a registry is this simple categorization of a people of one faith. In our case, it was people of one ancestry. We were American citizens, and yet because we looked like the enemy, we were treated like the enemy and imprisoned. And this is what's going to happen with a Muslim registry. And we as Americans will not tolerate that again. And we en masse will oppose that.
And this is something the president-elect could clear up instantly. He could easily issue a statement, written statement, just saying there will absolutely be no registry by religion of any kind in this country at any time. He has people living in fear, American citizens living in fear in this country since election night because of this.
What he has to know is that we are a nation of due process. We are a nation that believes that there has to be charges that can be challenged in a court of law, and then whatever happens, whether it's those people being put on a list. But we do not believe in a sweeping registration simply by faith, in the same way that
George, let me just ask you quickly before we go. Prior to this presidential campaign, did you ever dream that you would be publicly discussing something like this, a registry, something like this in this country, that this country hadn't learned its lesson in World War II?
I just spoke here at Penn State on the internment of Japanese Americans. I've been doing this all my life in order to prevent that from recurring again. And yet, you know, deep down inside, I thought I was doing this, planting seeds so that we won't have this happen again. But now they're saying that this is a precedent. It is not a precedent. It was when our nation was disgraced, our good democracy was smeared, and we will not allow that to happen again. This must not happen again, and we should all let Donald Trump know in no uncertain ways.
George Takei gets